Hi, welcome back, and thanks for checking in and watching this video. This is the next lesson in our unit that deals with finding the volume of different three-dimensional shapes. So today your learning target is that you will find the volume of cylinders. Now, just to be sure we all remember what a cylinder is, we are talking about shapes like this. Right? Like a can of soda or a can of soup, something like that. That is a cylinder. So we're going to learn how to calculate the volume of a cylinder, and don't forget what volume is. Volume means if I were to try to fill this thing up with water or sand or soda, how much would it hold? So volume is what we use to measure the inside space of a three-dimensional figure. And there is a formula for that, and here is the all-important formula for today. The volume of a cylinder is equal to pi, there's our friend pi again, times r, which means radius, to the second power, then times h, which is the height of the cylinder. So, spelled out in words down below, then it says volume equals pi times radius to the second power times the height of the cylinder. And on this cylinder here, what you can see is I've tried to kind of label and identify where you'll find these values as you're looking at these cylinders today. So the radius goes from the center of the circle of the base out to the edge, right? It would be half of a diameter. So if you see a diameter, you need to remember to cut it in half. That will give you the radius. And then the height of the cylinder is from the top down straight to the bottom. So these are the measurements we'll be looking for today, and it'll be important to remember that once we have the radius, we have to square it, and then we take it times pi on our calculator. So you're definitely going to want to have a calculator today. We're going to have to do some rounding today, and I'm actually going to show you two different ways to write your answers today. Some of the answers will be written in decimal form, and other answers we will write in terms of pi. And this might be new to you, so make sure you pay attention to this. Here the directions say, find the volume of each cylinder and round to the nearest tenth. Now, I want to be sure to remind you that we're writing our answers two different ways. We're going to write it in terms of pi, and then we're going to kind of finish the problem and actually write the decimal form of our answers. Okay, so watch how we do this. With any kind of a formula problem, it's always just a good idea to start by writing the formula that you're using. I just think it helps you keep your information organized. I think it keeps you on track and less likely to make mistakes. So we're talking about volume of a cylinder. Here's the formula. Pi r squared h. Now, let's plug our values in. Pi we leave as the symbol. The radius is 6 feet, which we have to square, times the height, which is 12. So, on my calculator, I'm going to do the exponent first. 6 squared is 36. Okay, now also again using the calculator, I get 432. So, I need to write my answers two ways. Once in terms of pi, which means you leave pi as a symbol, and then in terms of a decimal. And that's when you take pi and you actually hit the button of pi in your calculator and multiply it times 432. So one way to write your answer is to say 432 pi feet, and it's not squared because we're not finding the area, we're finding the volume. And for volume, it's always units to the third power, and I'll explain to you why that is. Remember up here when we squared the 6 right here? So that was 6 feet times 6 feet. And then over here, this 12, this is also feet. So you got 6 feet times 6 feet times 12 feet. That's feet times feet times feet, which makes feet to the third power. Okay, so this is one way of writing our answer. It's called writing our answer in terms of pi, because we leave pi as a symbol. Now on your calculator, you're going to take 432 times the pi button, which is the actual value of pi, and round your answer and actually get what we call the decimal answer. Now, if you don't have a pi button on your calculator, you can substitute in 3.14, but that really isn't ideal because, remember, 3.14 is an estimation of pi, and it's not going to give you the most accurate answer. So when you take 432 times the pi button and you round it, you get an answer of 1,357.2 feet to the third power. So now this is our second way of writing our answer, and actually, truth be told, I like both ways. Okay, let's try another. Always start with your formula. There it is. Substitute in our values. Pi stays. What's my radius? It's not 10.5. It's half of that. It's 5.25, which we're going to square, and the height is 8. Square that 5.25, and you get 27.56 times 8. So when I take 27.56 times 8, I get 220.5 pi centimeters to the third. That's writing our answer in terms of pi. And now let's finish the problem. So this is definitely one way, and this will be the other way. Now finish the problem by taking 220.5 times the pi button and round it always. And those are both of your answers. Writing it in terms of pi and then writing it as a decimal. Let's look at a word problem where we kind of have to do a little bit of working backwards. Question number 3 says, the volume of a cylinder is 99 cubic inches. Okay, cubic inches just means inches to the third power. So if you see cubic inches, it really just means inches to the third. It just indicates that you're working with volume. The radius of the cylinder is 3 inches. Find the height of the cylinder, round to the nearest tenth. You know, you're welcome to try to sketch this out if you want to, if you think it would help you to draw a picture and make the radius 3 inches. I am just going to go ahead and start with a formula. I'm going to plug my numbers in where they go. So, start over at the top here. The volume of a cylinder is 99 cubic inches. That's where the V is. The radius of the cylinder is 3. So where the R is, I'm going to put a 3. Find the height. Okay, so the height is the one we don't know. All right, so let's start working this problem. What can I do? Well, I can square the 3. That gives me a 9. Now, ultimately, you're trying to get h alone, right? We're trying to solve for h. So that means I need to take that 9 and I need to move that away from the h, and I need to take that pi and I need to move that away from the h. So I'm going to start dividing by these things. I'm going to divide by 9 on this side and on that side. 99 divided by 9 is 11. Okay, h is almost alone, right? He's getting happier, but not yet. Instead of multiplying by pi, let's divide by pi and divide by the pi button there and round, and you get an answer that the height is 3.5 inches. So in this example, or in this problem, we were trying to find the height of our cylinder. We knew the volume, we know that we have pi involved, and we know the radius was 3, which we squared to become a 9. Then you just had to divide by 9 on both sides, divide by pi on both sides, and that leads you down to the height of 3.5. This one is our last problem. It's a little more complicated. It's actually 2 problems in one, maybe even 3 problems. It says a baker designed a wedding cake in the shape shown below. find the volume of the whole cake. So this is it's actually like a 2-layer fancy cake, right? There's a cake on bottom, looks like a rectangular prism, and then there's a cake on top that's a cylinder. So we have to do 2 volume problems, get our 2 separate answers, and then put those answers together to figure out exactly how much cake we have. So let me remind you how to find volume of a prism. You can actually find it a couple different ways, but I'm going to make it easy, and I'm going to say it's the length times the width times the height of your prism, of your rectangular prism. So if I'm looking at this rectangular prism here, I see it's 20 is the length, 10 is the width, and 4 is the height. So I simply have to multiply those 3 numbers, and that'll tell me the volume of that prism. So 20 times 10 times 4 is 800 inches to the third. So that's how much cake there would be inside that the rectangular bottom piece of the cake. Now we have to find the volume of the cylinder, which is what we've been doing in this lesson. Right? What's the radius? 3.5. What's the height? 8. .5 squared is 12.25 times 8. I take 12.25 times 8 and I get 98. And I take that times pi and I round. And I get the volume of that cylinder to be 307.9 inches to the third. So now I need to take that rectangular base volume plus the cylinder volume, and I need to add those together. And when I do, the total volume, 1,107.9 inches cubed. That's a lot of cake. That's going to feed a lot of people. All right, so that was just simply 2 volume formulas put together, and then you combine your answers. And of course, as always, we will work on finding the volume of a cylinder over the next few days of class. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you took some notes. Hopefully this refreshed your memory about volume, and specifically volume of cylinders. And I will see you soon.